Beyond trying to get on the Parks Commission. If you can step out for a second. Give him a second. Come back in. He saw a job opportunity.
Yeah.
Just when you went out. I want you to step over here so the camera can get you.
Before we go reading it, let's vote it. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution honoring Mr. Braddock and Mr. McCullough?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Councilwoman.
First of all, I'm so proud of you, Jim. You spent the whole week in Augusta, Georgia, with no money, no food, one change of clothes and a guitar, in drenching rain and getting thrown out of places where you was trying to sleep on the ground. But the resolution is, State of South Carolina, City of Florence, whereas Mr. Brian Braddock recently spent a week-long journey being homeless to better understand the needs of the homeless, and whereas Mr. Braddock, Executive Director of the House of Hope, knows how to help people who are homeless but did not understand what it feels like to be homeless, which he now does. Whereas Mr. Beyond Artel McCullough, an entertainer from Florence who has been homeless, accompanied Mr. Braddock to Augusta, Georgia for the week. The two met in December 2017 when Mr. McCullough reached out to Mr. Braddock after reading an article in the morning news about the House of Hope and discovered that someone was genuinely trying to help the homeless. And whereas Mr. Braddock wanted to travel to an area that he was unfamiliar with so that the experience would not be skewed by his knowing where to find help. Whereas they took no money, no food, one change of clothes, and a guitar with them. The friends slept in the shelter for one night and in the streets or abandoned properties at all other times. And whereas there are approximately 146 homeless men, women, and children in Florence County who face these issues every day and night. Therefore, the Florence City Council does hereby recognize and commend Mr. Brian Braddock and Mr. Beyond Artel McCullough, kNOw, has a YouTube site, go there, kNOw.
Yes, ma'am.
For their dedication to the worthy cause and understanding in helping the homeless. Dated this 9th day of April 2018 and signed by the Mayor, Stephen J. Wakela. And we thank you both so much because homelessness is a thing that a lot of people don't understand, and you didn't take the soap. So evidently you didn't understand it either. When I say that, what they learned was that the only people that reach out to the homeless on an average are other homeless people. A man offered him a bar of soap, a homeless gentleman, and he refused the soap.
I took the soap.
Because he know he didn't smell so good. So he just wanted to go to McDonald's or someplace and wash up.
That's right.
But now, Mr. Braddock knows you take that soap. If you're homeless, you take what you're offered. And it's normally another homeless person that makes that offer to you. So on this day, I present you this resolution from the City of Florence.
I thank you.
And we thank you so much for what you do because I'm very involved with the homeless. As you know, I'm calling you constantly and texting you about a homeless person. And I wanted to go. I really wanted to go with them.
She really did, y'all.
But my husband said no, I couldn't go. And they said absolutely not.
Absolutely.
And as I thought about it more, I realized no, I shouldn't go with them. Women need a bathroom. Men can get away without one. But thank you so much for all the hard work that you both do for the community of Florence and the homeless. And we said 146, but there are actually more because there are a lot of homeless people that are not counted. And we all have to remember, if you're sleeping in someone's home, on their sofa, on their floor, you're homeless.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have a real home, a place to call home. They can tell you at any given minute, get out. But these two saw the need, and I know Mr. Bragg learned a lot. He learned a lot. And now I can call him even more. He'll understand even more what I'm talking about. But again, thank you so much for what you both have done.
You're welcome.
I would like to say one thing that I did learn about our city is that the efforts that we've taken over the past, I'll say 12 to 18 months, are addressing the issues that I saw when I was out on the street. So I just appreciate the city's support financially, collaboratively with the Mayor's Coalition for what y'all have done. So I felt bad about what I didn't know, but I felt great about where our city was heading in addressing the issues.
And by the way, he is the director, the executive director for our city's program, No One Unsheltered. And that means that if a homeless person goes to a shelter and there's no bed for them, they're supposed to call around until they can find someplace for that person to sleep that night. It may only be for that night, but you're not supposed to leave them out in the street homeless. And personally, I just noticed a new tent up someplace, and I have to verify that to make sure that that's someone homeless living in that tent. But
I don't want to say much except for thank you, but I want you, for me, please, Mr. Bryan, tell them about your 5 takeaways that you picked up from while we was out there.
Well, one was take the soap. You know, the homeless community, they help each other out, and without expectation of return. So that was one thing that I understood that I didn't. I thought, you know, we work in a barter system generally in society, but it wasn't an exchange process. It was a gift. You know, the other was to meet people where they are. You know, so many times we want to judge a person because they're smoking or drinking or because of how they look. But I can tell you, if I would have been homeless for a couple more weeks, I would have been smoking. Probably a couple of months, I would have been drinking. You know, I mean, they're just it's very hard to be out there and to meet people where Jesus met you. You know, for me, I'm a Christian, and Jesus met me on my hands and knees looking for crack in the floor mat of my vehicle, and that's when my life changed. Ask them what they need. You know, no one asked us if we needed shelter, if we knew where the shelter was, if we knew where the food bank was. When I say no one, I mean the general community. The homeless people were the ones who told us where everything was, and that's one thing that we're doing well here in the city of Florence as homeless organizations is working well together and collaborating. Ask yourself why. When you see someone homeless, when you see a homeless woman pushing a baby in a stroller or an elderly homeless person, ask yourself why. They're not living on the street because they want to. You know, there's a reason behind that. You know, and don't prejudge their situation. You know, ask yourself why. And lastly, get in the game. We can all do something for homeless people as a society just by speaking to them and saying hello.
Giving them some advice,
right,
some directions.
You know, we had 10 people pass us, and maybe 2 would respond if we said hey. So, you know, just saying hey and acknowledging them, you know, would go a long way. So, thank you very much.
and I followed them live, and for one whole day, first of all, when they got there, it was drenching rain.
Cold.
But one whole day, they were trying to panhandle, and they didn't get any food. They didn't eat that entire day because they couldn't get any money. I guess because of the rain, no one was stopping to help them out, even though he was trying to sing his part out. But they starved for an entire day, for an entire 24 hours.
I like to add the next day though, we did raise about $16 between the 2 of us.
He was doing some good things. That's what we made for the week, $16.
$16.
Yeah, I appreciate you know, we certainly didn't do it for this. What we've taken away, I hope to use to share with the community, to help the homeless community more. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to add one final thing to what Pat said, and thank you, Pat, for all of that. But it's on behalf of the entire community, and not only the city of Florence, but a greater community that followed you all on your Facebook, with your Facebook Live, and all of the ongoing daily activities. What you did for all the rest of us by sharing those moments is raise awareness for the rest of us. And while I know the experience was invaluable for you personally, it was invaluable for the rest of us to be able to experience it vicariously through you and to understand at a much deeper level that which folks are going through on a very much a daily basis. And so in allowing us in and allowing us to share that, it helped raise awareness for each and every one of us, not only on council, but in the community. And we thank you for that. Thank you.
Again, thank you.
Thank you.